welcome to TMZ Live. We now have a real look at what Taylor Swift Travis Kelce's wedding is going to look like. And frankly,
it's
starting to feel like an amusement park.
Yeah, it's not a wedding. It is literally like they are building their own personal Taylor and Travis world for all of their guests. Now we understand why there are, when you have nearly 1,000 guests or around 1,000 guests, and you have for 3 days now, trucks backing up to Madison Square Garden, delivering everything you can imagine under the sun. Obviously, we expected the massive stage. Then there were set pieces. Then there were trees that were delivered this morning.
The big clue is, and by the way, the food where we'll
get to the food,
and chicken and all that stuff. We'll get into it. But golf clubs, it's like it's like
inside the garden.
So now we know that, look, we were saying there are going to be 1,000 people there, but it's still a cavernous place. So what are they going to do? They're going to fill this place up and make it look like Disneyland.
There are going to be different rooms. There are several floors in the garden, and they are going to use all of it, it seems, to build out this fantasy. And now, you know, we've been saying all along, like, I would never want to go to this thing. I would never want to go. I kind of want to see it.
Yeah, you do.
I kind of want to see it. I don't know if I'd want to. I just like to see how they have it all laid out, because based on the things that they are delivering, it is going to be
a spectacle.
And by the way,
top circus.
I think until now, we thought this whole thing was Taylor-coded because there was this castle that's being built. There's all these very romantic drapes that are set up inside the arena. And also, we knew that a lot of the food was her favorite restaurants. Well, now we've obtained a photo where you see what appears to be a putting green.
Yeah.
So, because there's like a little
Travis
golf
is gonna
course,
have a
like
little thing for his
got
buddies.
something as well.
He's going to have hundreds of people there, and they're football players and others, so it's going to be a mix. But, you know, this is, look, I'm just going to say it. The reason that it's so annoying, at least to me, is that there has been so much, like, secrecy. Everything is shrouded in secrecy. It's like, let's do wedding invitations where we emboss the name of the invitees so that if they dare say hold on, let me make my point. If they dare say, you know, that I got the invitation, we'll know who you are, and NDAs and secrecy, and we're not going to say where it is. It's like we knew, and they knew a week before the wedding, the cat's going to be out of the bag, because you see all these trucks coming into Madison Square Garden in the middle of New York City. So what was the secrecy about to begin with if we knew a week before their cover would be blown?
I think part of this is really that they wanted it all to be a surprise for their guests.
But it's not.
Of course, it's not
and
now.
It never was going to be.
It's not now.
But it never was going to be.
It's still going to be pretty cool when they walk in.
If you're someone who's on the guest list and you're going to this and you're watching everything that we are showing right now, you're going, oh my God, what am I going? This is going to be, what is it going to look like?
No.
They still don't know what it's going to actually be in there.
My point is this. Yes, you're right. They don't know
They would find out days before.
They'd find out days before that it's going to be something
There's a difference in finding out 2 days before and finding out 2 weeks before.
I'm not saying
for your guests.
I'm not saying I'm not saying 2 months ago that they wouldn't they would necessarily know about the golf course and all the other stuff. But why keep Madison Square Garden secret?
Let me make my point.
Okay.
That every bride and groom at some point says they have a conversation about what the wedding is going to be. What's the reception going to be? And at some point, someone just goes, I just want to have a great party. I just want to have like the best party that I've ever been to in my life. I want everyone to feel like they came to the best party ever.
Okay.
They definitely did that, except that they have way more means than most people. And they said, you know what? We are going to have the best party, the biggest party ever.
But what does that have to do with secrecy?
When everyone shows up, they are going to be like, wow.
But what does that have to do with the secrecy?
Because they don't know all the things that are happening.
They still don't.
Our chat agrees. They say Taylor Swift is the biggest pop star of this time. If she wants a big wedding and she could afford it, let her have it. It doesn't matter
I'm
if
not
it's a
saying she
secret or
shouldn't have the
not.
wedding. I'm saying why the secrecy?
Because
she
also,
can.
how ridiculous would it be if she came out and did a proclamation? I, Taylor Swift, declare that my wedding will be at Madison Square Garden, and we will have this, and we will have that, and we will have this, and see you all there when it happens. That would be ridiculous.
You're missing my point. It's not we're going to do all these things. All I'm saying is we're having a wedding in Madison Square Garden. And just send the invitation out, and everybody knows it's Madison Square Garden. Why was this cat and mouse game played?
Because for their guests, it is part of the fun of it. They just know, be in New York City on this date, and wait till you see what's going to happen.
But everybody now knows it's Madison Square Garden days and weeks in advance.
Yes.
So why create the charade?
By the way, maybe they don't officially know that. Obviously, they know it because they're watching the reports, but maybe they haven't actually been told yet.
They probably haven't, but the cat's out of the bag. And they knew the cat was going to be out of the bag 3 months ago because you had to unload.
And again, there's a difference between 2 days before and 2 months
That's
before.
right. But 2 months before, I'm not saying say there's going to be a golf course. Just say the wedding's at Madison Square Garden. That's all I'm saying.
No, I'm 100% on your side. What was the
Wait,
point
whose
of
side?
making it
Whose side are you on?
a
Harvey
talking
side?
about
No,
being,
not Harvey
yeah,
side.
talking about being private. Like, why make it private if at the end of the day it's going to be a big spectacle in Madison Square Garden? I'm not opposed to it being a spectacle. That's fine. It's Taylor Swift. She's going to go big. She's going to go grand. We all know that. That's why we love her. But at the end of the day, what was the point of making it such a big secret if you were going to end up doing this big thing at Madison Square Garden that everybody and their mothers was going to see for 2 days?
Hold on. But we haven't actually seen it.
You know
we haven't actually seen it.
I know, so it's still a surprise.
No, but my point
By the
is-
way, what's your name?
I'm Krista from San Diego.
Krista, I love you. That was brilliant.
Well, one big mystery in D.C. is now resolved, although not very happily for some members of Congress. So you may have heard about Congressman Tom Kean Jr. He is from New Jersey. He had been MIA for about 4 months, had not showed up for any votes, and never explained his absence. He finally returned to D.C. yesterday and revealed that he has been battling depression, that his doctor had advised him just basically to lay low and get treatment and deal with this.
So there are some members of Congress who are upset with him, not because he took the time off, but he never explained why he took the time off, and people were wondering and kind of left hanging, especially in his district, for 4 months. Lauren Boebert has a stronger view than that.
Yes, Congresswoman from Colorado, but also a fellow Republican. So Kean not showing up certainly affects her caucus. So we spoke to her moments after Congressman Kean revealed his depression battle, and she is definitely not sympathetic and just says, you got to do your job, man.
Sure, like take care of yourself, get healthy, but who gets to take 4 months off of work because they're sad? Like that's
well,
not.
It might not be sad. I mean, it's
depressed. He's depressed. He's sad. And whatever the reasons may be, it's embarrassing. I mean, if you can't build up a tolerance to it, then maybe don't be here. I'm not going to sit here and just dunk on him and his issue. I do think it is an absolute disrespect to his voters that he has not shown up and had a reason like that.
Would you like to see him reelected?
Well, I would like to see us hold the House, but I mean, I wouldn't elect somebody just for the sake of that. I do believe in proper representation and people doing the job that they were elected to do, that they swore that they would do.
I got to say, that last thing she said, she is true to her word.
Yep.
That even if they lose the seat.
She wants someone who's going to actually do the job.
And, at least her view of what's right is right, and she's not bending.
I can't believe I'm saying that. I agree with her. I think mental health is serious, and for sure you should get the help you need. I think taking off of work for 4 months, no explanation, is not right, especially as an elected representative. I suffer from mental health issues myself. I show up for work every day. I go to therapy, I'm medicated. There are ways to get help so you can function, and I think abandoning ship as a representative representing people is not the way to go about it at
so
all.
what was really interesting about this clip that we thought was interesting when we first watched it is because Jacob got her. And Jacob's spoken to Congresswoman Boebert several times. They have a pretty good relationship.
Right.
But we know how Jacob feels, how he feels, and other people in his generation feel about this issue.
Yeah, we do.
We kind of thought
that you feel the same
you
way.
would be the same way.
And it's different.
Well, the chat is kind of on board with Tom Kean, but they're also saying Tom should have called out. They're saying, how can this be the same congressman that voted for no paid family leave and then he disappears for 4 months? They're just saying that there was a better way and a better protocol to go about this.
Should have explained it.
Yeah.
And he's running for re-election, which is, I'll tell you, this is going to be a fascinating race.
Yeah, to see what happens. Right. How are they?
Show up for your
Are they going to
best.
hold his feet to the fire, or are they going to be more like Jacob maybe and just say, you know what, it's okay, deal with it?
Lauren Boebert said that it is a case for her of taxation without representation.
I totally agree with that. If you don't show up to do the job where you are representing people, how can my voice be heard if you're not there to voice how
Look at
I
us
feel?
sounding all Independence Day and everything. It's like the 4th of July.
It's amazing.
Hey, I'm Aditi Bustles. I'm a former elected in South Carolina. And as someone who went back to vote a week after an emergency C-section, I promise you that if this was a woman who had done this, she would be decimated. Her political career would be over. This is not a regular job. And like you guys have talked about, there's a certain level of at least transparency that he should be providing his constituents about exactly where he is. Not to diminish his mental health illness. That's real. I mean, and I can't believe I'm agreeing with Lauren Boebert as well. You are expected to represent your constituents, and you have an entire office that can help with that. Instead, you just stayed silent for 4 months, which is unacceptable. But I do think he'll get reelected. He's a man.
I think you made really good points. I'm not sure about that last point, but the I can't believe that I agree with is a really interesting statement.
That
because
we've heard a lot of people say.
were saying that about Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Yes.
And now all of a sudden, here with Boebert.
Yeah.
Coming up.
A bombshell report from Reuters this morning in the Nancy Guthrie case. The report said that an FBI source told them that the ransom notes, the 2 notes that were sent by the alleged kidnappers, were not real.
So I made calls this morning.
Be right back.
So what seemed like a bombshell report from Reuters this morning in the Nancy Guthrie case, and in fact, when you read the headline, it certainly seemed like there was some movement here. The report said that an FBI source told them that the ransom notes, the 2 notes that were sent by the alleged kidnappers, were not real, that they were fake, that they were made up by someone who didn't actually have any information about Nancy Guthrie. The report also claimed that the notes that we have been getting from the person who claims to have information about where the kidnappers are, who they are, and the location of Nancy Guthrie's body, said that those also fake.
So look, we decided maybe there's something we don't know here because we've been in touch with the FBI since the beginning of this because we received the first ransom note and FBI agents have worked with our IT team. So I made calls this morning and I talked to 2 people, one of whom is involved in the investigation, another an official at the FBI. So the official says, and I'm going to read from my notes, it is more likely than not that the ransom notes are real. That, put a different way a little bit later in the conversation, they are more legitimate than not. And then said it is not true that they have been ruled out as fake. As for this demand letter we got saying we'll tell you who the kidnappers are in return for a Bitcoin, the officials said it is less likely that these demand letters are real, but they're still not ruling it out. Now, it's interesting because when I spoke with the official, that person said, look, there are a lot of agents involved in this. And depending on who you talk to, they're going to have somewhat different views of this. But the FBI, with certainty, we're told, has not ruled out these ransom letters. And as a matter of fact, you know, again, it is more likely than they're real than not. And the FBI has been treating it that way.
Yeah, and I think we saw that based on the video that Savannah and her siblings posted the day after the second note, which we now know that second note from the kidnapper said essentially that Nancy had passed away.
We should explain this.
And then they posted that video where they said...
Well, the first note said, we want $4 million. And if you don't give it to us by a deadline, we want $6 million. And if you don't give us that money by that deadline, we will kill her.
Right.
So they made very specific ransom demands. The same person who wrote that letter, and we know that because the Bitcoin address was the same, writes a second letter without any reference to ransom, just saying Nancy died.
Right.
And so it's interesting because they didn't ask for money. That's why the next day, Savannah says, we will pay.
We just want her home to celebrate her.
Meaning her body.
Right, exactly. And this is valuable to us. We will pay. They were doing an outreach to whoever the kidnappers were.
But they didn't know what to pay. They didn't know whether they would
how
accept,
much to pay.
And whether they'd even accept money.
Right. And whether they'd give the information.
And it feels like these kidnappers thought, wow, we're going to get a quick payday.
Right.
And then she dies. Nancy Guthrie dies on their
they
watch.
realize.
And they freak out.
There's a worry they lost their leverage. And so she wanted to indicate that
they're now murder.
And that they've committed murder. Both things are going on, that we can no longer extract money necessarily, but that's why Savannah's family came forward and said, we'll give you money either way.
And the
just to celebrate the return of the body.
Never responded again.
Yeah, and going towards the legitimacy of the evidence, those first ransom notes had indications of knowledge that wasn't publicly known at the time. And so the idea that they are completely fabricated and illegitimate doesn't really make sense. It makes sense why the FBI would think more people at the FBI think they are legitimate.
And the reason I brought up that video is clearly Savannah and her family were working with the FBI.
Right.
And for them to make that video, clearly the FBI had some belief at that point that the ransom notes were real.
Well, they told us squarely, especially in those early days, they absolutely believed they were real.
But those are very different than the second notes, right? The second notes don't have outside or sort of indicia that they are legitimate in any way. They just say, I have a video that shows her. It's in a safe deposit box and so forth.
Make it clear. It's not the second ransom note.
It's
the series of demand letters.
The demand letters are different than the ransom notes.
And that's where they're not sure that they're real. They say less likely. But they still are really looking to see who wrote those two ransom.
They don't have a lot of information. Anything will do.
Hi, I'm John Ridgway from Las Vegas. And I honestly do think that it's kind of crazy that Reuters was even able to report on basically these ransom notes being fake. And then the FBI refuted that. And so to me, it kind of seems like this back and forth with information surrounding Nancy Guthrie's disappearance and almost could seem like basically sabotage to the case. And another thing is, it's confusing me as to how there are so many cameras outside just in general, not just at the place where Nancy Guthrie was kidnapped from, and they still haven't been able to find her.
Yeah.
And
that's like, so baffling. I agree with you.
How you thought we always said
2026
that kind of thing is not possible to actually just disappear.
It's crazy
without being captured somewhere on camera.
It is crazy. You know that song "Climb Every Mountain"? Kind of reminds me of this.
You had to take it to Sound of Music, didn't you? Yes, there was quite a scene in New York City. Had nothing to do with Taylor Swift, although not far from Madison Square Garden. At the very top of the Empire State Building today.
This is crazy.
A couple climbed to I'm talking to the top of the
tippy
antenna.
top.
And, you have like the best day of your life and then a not so good day all at once. Because the guy proposed to her, and then they were arrested several minutes later when they came down.
What a proposal, right?
What a proposal. Look at the shots they got there.
That's amazing.
It is really amazing. Now, this couple...
Your gym teacher and your English teacher climbed the Empire State Building.
They kind of upstaged Travis and Taylor in New York City.
They kind of did. Do you think the cops say, ma'am, sir, you're under arrest? But it was awesome.
But that was awesome. Looks great. No, I think they just say you're going to be facing, probably criminal trespass or something?
I guess, yeah.
But they've done so many of these. I'm sure they're used to getting arrested.
That's
and it's not a big deal.
Crazy.
By the way, they do it often enough. They have brand deals, and there was even a Netflix documentary about them a couple years ago.
So do you think this is being recorded for a show? Can they?
Well, they recorded it.
Well,
and obviously, so did every news helicopter in New York City.
And the thing is, they got more publicity off of this than the Netflix doc.
Yes.
So smart marketing, guys.
Coming up.
The Chris Brown saga with his former housekeeper is now over, and she has won a lot. Now, it's hard to say she won when you see the injuries that she suffered. Remember, this is the woman who said that Chris's dog had attacked her. Clearly, it did. The jury found Chris liable and said he has to pay $13 million.
Be right back.
TMZ's got every freaking thing. Big celebs, big stories, big events.
Donnell Rawlings took TMZ DC on a city tour.
You know what the irony of this is? A black man takes a white person to the White House.
It's TMZ.
The Chris Brown saga with his former housekeeper is now over, and she has won a lot. Now, it's hard to say she won when you see the injuries that she suffered. Remember, this is the woman who said that Chris's dog had attacked her. Clearly, it did. And she sued him trying to get $90 million.
She didn't get close to that, but she got a lot.
She got a lot. And the jury ordered her, found Chris liable, and said he has to pay $13 million for her injuries. And
what's interesting about this case is there are two elements to every lawsuit. One is liability, and the second is damages. Liability is very clear in California. If a dog bites you, if you didn't provoke the dog, you are automatically liable.
Right.
It's called strict liability. So the real issue became damages in this case.
And it's interesting that, and I don't know that if there were discussions, but why Chris wouldn't have settled this. I mean, very clearly you were going to be found liable.
She wins $90 million.
She wanted, well, obviously there'd be negotiation, right? She wanted 90, but I don't know. I mean, he probably would have ended up at about the same, but now he had to pay lawyers also.
Right. I don't know.
This dog bite, not only did he have to pay lawyers and her, he also had to pay her sister, who was also there at the time of the attack.
Her sister?
Her sister, Patricia, is also she was awarded $885,000 for emotional distress.
Emotional distress, sure.
Maria's husband also got some money, and this Oscar was separately awarded $50,000. So this dog bite for Chris is really costing him a lot.
The emotional distress is really interesting to me because is it Maria
Maria is the housekeeper. Her sister.
So when Maria gets the money, I mean, it's automatic liability. But for the sister to get emotional distress.
She was there.
I understand that. But I think it almost requires Chris to have done something that he could have prevented this. And I don't know what that is.
Maybe the details were something about where the dog was kept.
Maybe.
That there had been other issues with the dog, maybe, but.
Chris.
So he probably, Chris Brown especially, there's something called an umbrella policy where you can insure for millions and millions and millions of dollars by paying a premium. And I don't know whether he had that. I would think, given Chris's history, he would have that.
Well, yeah, in his defense, he seemingly kind of took a little bit of, at the beginning of this, responsibility because he said he kind of knew that the dog could be, and he said that he warned Maria and Patricia not to go outside only unless they were accompanied by someone or like they were telling Chris to go out there. He says that he told them not to go outside without the presence of security.
That was his defense, which is saying that, in a sense, they assumed the risk by going out
That's
there.
what he's saying. The sister said that they were never told that. Jury sided with the sisters, and now he's paying big bucks.
Has he responded?
No, he's probably.
By the way, the dog was euthanized.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chris is on tour, so I'm sure this tour with Usher will make up some money for him. Then hopefully that will be able
Chris
to.
had the money anyway,
right?
But
who wants the 13?
Yes.
I would be shocked if he didn't have an umbrella insurance policy.
That insurance is going to cover some of this.
Some of it?
Well, it could cover all of it.
I hope so.
Hi, I'm Crystal from San Antonio, and my opinion is pretty simple. When something happens because of your dog, you should take responsibility, whether you're a celebrity or not. It doesn't matter. In fact, the more visibility and influence you have, the more responsibility you have to make an example. And sometimes the way you respond is a bigger story than the actual incident. So in my opinion, the media frenzy that Chris Brown was trying to avoid is the exact media frenzy that he created in the first place.
Coming up.
Supreme Court's ruling on transgender women cannot participate in women's sports, as leaving it up to the states. Riley Gaines has been at the center of this debate and this battle almost from the start.
I think you have leaders like Gavin Newsom who believe they're giving President Trump the middle finger, but actually they're giving the middle finger to little girls in their state.
Be right back.
Life comes at you fast. One day you are a collegiate swimmer competing, and then the next day you are at the Supreme Court because of something that happened not only to you, but to other athletes. And then the Supreme Court is making a ruling on this, talking about the Supreme Court's ruling on saying that transgender women cannot participate in women's sports, as leaving it up to the states and saying that it is fine for the states, if they so choose, to ban transgender women from sports. And there are dozens of states that have actually done that already.
I think 27, I believe.
Yeah. And Riley Gaines has been at the center of this debate and this battle almost from the start, because, as I mentioned, she was participating in a race where there was a transgender athlete who was participating against her. So Riley's been fighting for this. This week must feel like a victory for her, though I'm not sure if she's going to say that the mission is complete just yet. So joining us to talk about it is Riley Gaines herself. Riley, welcome to TMZ Live.
Good to be with you guys. Thank you.
We really appreciate you coming on. So, look, you know, it's interesting. There is a legal ruling now that it is constitutional to have a ban like this. How does it change the conversation that you're in the middle of? Because there's a difference between the law saying things and then people feeling things. So you've gotten a lot of support and you've gotten backlash. Do you think that changes at all from the Supreme Court opinion?
You know, one thing I just want to clarify very quickly from the jump. We hear the word ban a lot, but it's really important to again, make the point. No one is being banned from sports. Actually, it's pretty dishonest to say that someone is being banned. No one is being banned. Everyone can, and I'm the biggest advocate for everyone should participate in sports. What this ruling means is you are just permitted to participating in the category that aligns with your sex, which actually majority of Americans agree with. So just the crux of this ruling, as you guys have indicated, basically now the Supreme Court has decided and ruled on the fact that women's sports can be just for women, meaning it's not illegal to have women's sports exclusive to just women. But that phrasing there and saying that women's sports can be just for women is important because it's kind of like a may, not must. You may have women's sports, but you don't have to. And that's where, of course, as you recognize, the battle has not yet been won. As said, 27 states have passed some sort of fairness in women's sports law. 23 states have not. So this ruling was great for girls who live in states like my home state of Tennessee, but not so good for, or I guess indifferent for girls in states like California, Washington, Oregon, Minnesota, Michigan, Maine, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You guys know the states. So basically, fairness and safety depend on your zip code and your geography and where you live in the country.
Well, and I think you mentioned the states that you mentioned. I think a lot of it depends on politics also. And I'm curious if how much you're going to be at the battle, if there's going to be a battle in those states, because most of them tend to be very blue, liberal states where either the voters don't think this is an issue or they're just not on your side of the argument. But will you continue to fight in those states for this same issue?
Absolutely. Of course, I personally will, with any means and measures necessary. But more than me personally, I hope that we see the Department of Justice and the Department of Education aggressively enforce existing federal law. Again, that federal law being Title IX against these institutions that continue to violate the rights of women and girls. Now, unfortunately, of course, legal challenges, it's no surprise, it's not breaking news that these things take time, but we have no reason to believe that these what I would call activist states, led by activist leaders, we have no reason to believe that they will not continue to openly defy President Trump. That's what I think this really all boils down to. I think you have leaders like Gavin Newsom who believe they're giving President Trump the middle finger by allowing boys into girls' sports, but that's not really what they're doing at all. Actually, they're giving the middle finger to little girls in their state. So I think we're going to continue to see that, and I hope we see real enforcement mechanisms from the highest level.
So I was watching CNN last night, and Governor Pritzker was on, the governor of Illinois, and I like him, but I was so disappointed in him because there were several questions where he just waffled, and it felt so political. When it came to this ruling, and Caitlin Collins asked him squarely, do you agree with the Supreme Court ruling? He would not say yes, he would not say no, and what he tried to do was do a both sides type thing. And it seems to me what he's doing is he feels, I'm interpreting, but he feels like he's going to anger the LGBTQ community. So I'm wondering how you feel about that. Do you think the LGBTQ community is still squarely against a ban like this, or do you think it's mixed? And are you encountering this with other politicians where they just seem to not want to take a stand on it?
Yeah, that's kind of been the playbook. I actually believe that every single candidate seeking public office should have to answer something as incredibly simple as should girls compete against boys? And if their answer is some form of yes or deflection or refusal to engage, then I think that should be a disqualifying factor to any common sense American. I would actually say the majority of the LGBTQ communities, specifically those who are a part of the L and the G, the lesbian and the gay community, they actually recognize the trans portion of this incredibly long acronym that seems to grow every day. They recognize that as really harmful to what they have fought for. I've talked to so many lesbians specifically who are pretty peeved that they find men who claim to be women on their dating apps. They're like, look, I'm not interested in you. I don't have preference in male genitalia. That doesn't make me homophobic or transphobic. I just have preference, and it's not you, quite frankly. So I think the trans movement actually is inherently harmful to what lesbians and gays have fought for.
Riley, have you heard from President Trump since the ruling? I know that a few weeks ago months ago, there was a rift between you guys. You disagreed with him about the posting of the AI image of him as Jesus. And he had some unkind things to say about you, but you on this issue are clearly on the same side. Wondering if you heard from him since the ruling.
Just what we've seen online from President Trump is all I've heard, although I will say President Trump have patched up the rift that we had. Look, I agree with the president on 99% of things that the president and his administration is doing. And so I don't believe that criticizing the president or, that the actions that we saw on the True Social specifically that day, I don't think that makes me disloyal or a disgruntled conservative. I'm with the president 99% of the time.
So to me, there's a difference between being against trans women competing in women's sports and saying that the trans community has a right to live their lives the way they want to in America, and that we shouldn't take rights away from them or not recognize them because they may be different from you or me. Do you feel that way?
You, me, and I would say probably 95% of this country feel that way. Look, I don't want to legislate on who someone sleeps with, how someone dresses, what someone does behind closed doors, so long as it's between two consenting adults. That's the beauty of America. So long as my taxpayer dollars aren't being used and it's between consenting adults, I really don't care. No one's rights are being taken. It's a total talking point narrative that is just false, quite frankly.
I think there are people on the other side of this who would say that they do feel that there's legislation that is being discussed that would take away some of their rights, but I take your point.
But again, I just posed the question of what is that then? What rights are being infringed upon legislatively?
One of the rights is the recognition of who they are. But look, we are out of time.
Yeah.
Really appreciate you coming on. Thank you.
And obviously, you can see Riley on her show, The Riley Gaines Show on Fox News and Outkick. Thanks so much for being with us, Riley.
Thanks, Riley.
Thanks, guys.
Appreciate it.
Coming up.
Well, some good news for Jussie Smollett, different from what has typically been happening for him. He's got himself a new guy.
Be right back.
Well, some good news for Jussie Smollett, different from what has typically been happening for him. He's got himself a new guy. And this is, I'm pretty sure he just ended his engagement like 5 minutes ago.
Right.
But now he's got a new guy, Karamo Brown from Queer Eye. And, and Karamo is, I don't know how long they've actually been dating. I don't know how long they've been dating, but it just seemed weird to me that Karamo did an interview where he said, "This is the one."
He said that?
Yeah.
Do you think he's the one?
I know it. I'm 100% sure. I could get emotional. I've met my equal. And it's powerful when you meet someone who you feel 100% safe with, you feel 100% secure with, who you can just trust with your heart because you know they are just a great human being. While we are not publicly yet because we don't want comments. You know what I mean? And so we are protecting the love we have because, you know, I do believe this is gonna be my husband. I believe this is gonna be my forever person.
How long have they been dating?
Yeah. I need some answers here. I need some answers here to be talking about
a real long
forever
time. For
person.
someone I spoke to yesterday called it a full-blown relationship.
But how long have they been dating?
Well,
like what?
So the first public thing.
I mean, we reported in June that he ended his engagement. So unless there was some kind of crossover.
Wait a minute, this June?
And
Yeah.
yes.
Well, how could then?
Yeah, like yesterday.
We're still in June.
Right.
No, we're in July now.
But
what's the date today?
July 1st.
Oh, okay, barely.
we reported on June 4th that within that week or two they had called off the engagement. So that would put us to what?
So
almost a month.
Even if there was like
overlap.
I'm just gonna say
overlap.
this. Last
How
weekend.
do you make that? How do you say that?
The first thing that I read, and I didn't see video of this, first thing I read about them being publicly together was last weekend at the Pride Parade in Harlem.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Karamo introduced Jussie or the other way around, and
I'm sorry.
Now they're
a year, a minimum a year before you know the other person. Minimum.
We should just say this. We just heard from Karamo that this is the one. We can't speak for Jussie.
But if you've been only dating for a month, that's a very bold statement to make.
Well, no, that's insane because people are not. They don't show themselves fully
in a month.
In a month, you just don't.
Quick question. Speaking of showing themselves fully, in the time that they've been dating, does Karamo ask him,
"Did you
what
do it?
really happened in Chicago?"
Oh, and Jussie told him exactly what he told the court.
I'm sure, but if you're Karamo, do you even ask?
I would
in the
not bring
first
that
month.
up.
Oh, they're gonna. Yes, you can't not. But that especially 1 month. I mean, how do you?
You're asking in the first 5
On the
minutes of the
first
first
dinner
date.
date,
You're
yeah.
like, so before we go any further.
Natalie Franklin, Sacramento, California. I think it's really cute and sweet that Karamo's so swept up, but this is so quick. Like, we don't know if this is true love or if this is just the honeymoon stage, because calling someone you've been barely dating the one and your husband isn't.
I mean, it's so you're standing on the railroad.
That's your whole
track.
comment is just.
You're just standing on the railroad track, man. Don't jump to conclusions.
Coming up.
Well, Lil Wayne has kicked off his latest tour. The opening show was in Bangor, Maine. There was a DJ warming up the crowd. Everyone's like, cool. And then finally at like 11 o'clock, the DJ says he's not here.
Be right back.
Well, Lil Wayne has kicked off his latest tour, although, technically he's kicked it off because he had scheduled his first show.
I don't think it qualifies as kicking it off.
Look, the fans all showed up in Maine. The opening show was in Bangor, Maine. And
it was not a banger, though.
It was not a banger. Is it Bangor?
Bangor,
anyway,
man.
I always said banger. Anyway, he didn't show up. Everyone was at the arena. They were inside.
With no notice.
There was a DJ playing, warming up the crowd. Everyone's like, cool. And then finally at like 11 o'clock, the DJ says, he's not here. Sorry. And everyone had to go home. And honestly, we've been trying. Hey, Nama, did we hear anything?
So I mean, I'm a Lil Wayne fan. I love Lil Wayne, but this is messed up. Like people save up money to go see Lil Wayne in wherever Maine this was, and so they gave no explanation to the crowd. We've reached out to his team multiple times today. No explanation has been given of why he didn't show up.
That's just messed up. You got to tell people, even if you're gonna lie.
You know what? This should be reserved.
People something.
This should be reserved for Congress.
Yeah.
Not showing up and not saying why. This is an outrage.
The Lil Wayne tour, sponsored by Tom Kean.
What else you guys want to talk about?
Hi, I'm Ashley here in Kentucky. Laura was right when she said that whether you're depressed or not, you need to show up for work, because everyday Americans show up for work when they have anxiety, they're depressed, overdraft fees, and their gas tank is full of hopes and prayers, and they still show up. And hopefully now that he's back, he can actually pass some legislation to properly fund health care instead of voting for the big, beautiful bill that cut the mental health care that he needs. But, bless his little heart,
Well, he got, but he
bless his little heart.
Congress gets medical benefits that the rest of us don't.
Yeah.
One more.
I'm Isabel from Boston, Empire State couple. Shenanigans earlier today. I think that it's a couple of things. One, beautiful, because as somebody who watched Angela and Ivan's love story in their Netflix documentary, I've been rooting for them. But also, it was certainly a choice, because nobody attempts a stunt like that in New York City at 1 p.m. on a Wednesday and is not trying to get caught, which I also think is the point, because they've climbed structures across the globe in the dead of night to avoid authorities. But today, they drew international attention.
And they got tons of publicity, and they will monetize this, folks.
Yeah, for sure.
Coming up.
A little TMZ DC. Something you do not see. In fact, I've never seen this in DC before, but our guys got it with Congressman Rich McCormick.
I was just teaching a little girl today to skateboard. This is the fun stuff in life.
Be right back.
All right, before we go, a little TMZ DC. Something you do not see. In fact, I've never seen this in DC before, but our guys got it with Congressman Rich McCormick, who we have had. He's actually came into the office.
Right where we're standing.
Was doing push-ups in here. Guy who's
won.
Fit as hell, but
he's like in his late 50s too, which is crazy.
I am shocked that this is one of his pastimes.
I was just teaching a little girl today to skateboard. This is the fun stuff in life. I highly encourage you, get a skateboard. You zoom around here, you'll be twice as fast. You'll have fun, especially when it's hot. You sweat less.
So you've just got a skateboard here kind of as like a means of transportation around the Capitol?
I used to do tricks. And even when I first came back as an old man, I was doing tricks and I had busted my butt. I'm like, okay, I'm done with that because I'm not made of rubber anymore. Don't skate. The lessons learned.
So
if you see someone skating around DC.
I got to say, yeah, have fun watching cable news where you find out about, the war.
Well, I mean, they are talking about important issues there.
Okay, fair, but look at what we give you. I mean, look at this.
I don't know how you feel this. I don't know if this cuts in our favor or not, but
it's how we roll.
Yes, it is.
We'll see you tomorrow.